So this week we're talking about social media and beauty and the way that social media is impacting our perceptions of beauty.
Yep.
We were saying it's all over our feeds.
Right up my alley.
Everywhere. I actually spoke to a celebrity dermatologist in Dubai about the impact of social media filters, but my feed is also full of like other kind of beauty treatments. I know you tried one of them.
That's what mine is as well, and it's like I feel like social media has made us kind of have such great access to celebrities. We see what they're doing all the time. We know what treatments they're getting, what products they're buying, but also influencers now as well. And so we're getting so kind of targeted by all these products and trends. And yeah, one of the ones I was getting constantly was a salmon sperm facial, which obviously has a really catchy name. And I wanted to look into it, and I wanted to try it myself. So I did. I first came across salmon sperm facials, obviously, on TikTok.
Salmon sperm facial?
A salmon sperm facial.
I did. Surely they aren't injecting salmon sperm into their faces.
Yes, we are injecting salmon sperm into people's faces.
I'm kind of interested to try it myself as well, but I have loads of questions. Is it safe? What are the long-term effects? And also, is it really salmon sperm?
Okay, salmon sperm on your face. Is this good? Is this okay?
I just Googled salmon sperm to see what it looks like. This is it here, which is kind of gross to think that would go into your face.
Salmon sperm facials are also known as polynucleotide treatments. Nucleotides are the building blocks of DNA, and a polynucleotide is a chain of them. When they're injected, they help stimulate the production of collagen. The injectable treatments are not approved in the US, as the FDA requires rigorous testing for medical drugs, but they are available in Europe. I went to visit Amila, a UK-based brand of polynucleotide products.
When I came across polynucleotides in 2019, no one knew the treatment as the salmon sperm treatment. We started introducing this to doctors first in the UK.
What's the question you get the most?
Is how we get the actual salmon sperm.
Tell me exactly where you get the salmon from.
So we get the salmon from North America, where it's caught wild. It's predominantly fished for the food industry. So there's no salmon being caught, fished, killed for this product. Then that's purified DNA is extracted in the lab, where we also remove hormones and proteins before it's made into the final gel.
So it's just the DNA that you're extracting.
Salmon DNA. I can't stress enough how important it is to use a product that is clean when you put something into your body.
I went to visit one of the labs Amila works with to see how the sperm is made into the final product.
I can see something here that you've got under the microscope. Is this the sperm?
It is, but it's actually been purified and ultrafiltrated to get to this stage. So it's actually the pure DNA fragments.
So are we allowed to touch it and have a look?
Absolutely.
It does feel like tissue. You know when you've got tissue in your pocket and it goes into the washing machine?
Yeah.
Feels kind of weird.
But the treatment still felt quite unorthodox to me. I wanted to know whether it's considered safe.
How safe is it to inject into your skin?
Salmon DNA is very similar to human DNA on that level. So actually the risk of there being concerns, transmission of illnesses or diseases from salmon to humans are very, very limited. The risk is predominantly that associated with the injection process.
How much does one treatment cost?
Treatment is pretty variable, but we expect approximately £300 to £400 depending on where you are and also depending on how much is used.
So that was really interesting. It's got me thinking about the cost. £300 to £400 a treatment, and if you need a few a year, that's really expensive.
So now I felt like I had a pretty good understanding of the treatment and the risks. I decided to try it out for myself.
Okay, so I'm on the way to get the salmon sperm facial. This is what my skin looks like before, and we'll see what it looks like directly after. Hi,
Ivana, nice to meet you. Welcome to the clinic.
Thank you.
Should we go through and get started?
Yeah.
So what we'll start with is taking your makeup off and we'll do a skin analysis. Okay, I'm just going to get the side views. Okay, perfect. So yeah, this is your skin through a UV filter, just showing up all of the damaged bits of skin.
So should this look white?
Nobody's looks white, unless you lived in a concrete box and you never saw the sun.
Several clinical studies have shown that polynucleotides promote tissue repair and regeneration and improve skin texture.
What are the kind of clients that you get coming in for salmon sperm facials?
People are seeing a lot of bad work, a lot of work that's very obvious, and what people want now is that sort of undetectable work where you still look like yourself, but you look well, you look refreshed, and you look glowy and healthy. And I think us as a consumer are then looking to the celebrities and thinking, wow, they look great, they don't look plastic, what are they doing? What the roller is doing is just making tiny little penetrations in the skin to make sure that product penetrates.
So this is the bit that might hurt more.
So needles are really, really tiny.
There's more injections than I thought there'd be. I kind of thought it was going to be 2 or 3.
Here's a little mirror, so you can see those little lumps that came up originally have mostly settled down. Tiny bit of redness from the microneedling, it's already starting to fade. So yeah, we're all done for today.
Yeah, it doesn't kind of look how I thought it was going to look immediately after. Like, hardly noticeable, I'm just sort of a bit red.
So it's the morning after, and my skin feels completely normal now, and I don't think you can see anything really. A slight pinprick here, but other than that you can't tell that I had anything done yesterday.
I do think my skin looks less dull and the purple under my eyes has gone down a bit. Would I do it again? Yeah, I would. I'd like to see what it looks like after 2 or 3 treatments, which is what's recommended. The only thing is the cost. It's really expensive, so it's something I'd have to save for.
I know you said, I remember you talking before you went and got this done, and you're like, don't worry, it's non-invasive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty invasive. Those needles were going...
Do you know how many needles went on either side under my eye? 15 each side.
Did it hurt? Yeah,
it did kind of hurt because she did one and she was like, how was that? And I was like, oh, it's a bit stingy. And she was like, 15 more. And I didn't realise that it was going to be that many. So yeah, I think they call it a minimally invasive procedure because I think invasive is you have to have had surgery.
I feel like things like that are not that, like, I don't consider them invasive because I feel like invasive is if you walk out with stitches and, you know, you have to...
I would consider that invasive, but I think the thing is too, like, I take your point, like a facelift is quite a drastic surgery.
Yeah.
And the fact this is so popular just makes me wonder, like, it's become so much more accessible and normalized for people to be getting things like 15 needles either side of your face.
Yeah.
When like 20 years ago, that wasn't exactly the way that people would go about, like, trying to go for beauty treatments.
Yeah. And is that just because people see it on their feed more? They see injections?
Yeah, I
they
feel
see
like we're
people talking
seeing,
about it?
you know, like influencers, so much more celebrities are more accessible. Like, we're seeing everything that they do in a way that we never did. So we're like, oh, we can do that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, you said it was quite expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. So in terms of accessibility, like cost-wise, not really.
But it's a lot less than a facelift.
It's a lot less than a facelift, but that's a lot of money to save for if you need to do it. They recommend doing it 2-3 times a year. So
That's how they get you.
Is it cheaper than Botox?
So Botox is a bit cheaper. I think the NHS says on average it's like $130 to $400.
Like, that's pretty accessible now.
Yeah,
I think
for
too,
people.
on the accessibility point, like, we're not strangers. Women are not strangers to being told to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's always been like a bit more removed. It's been like more like a celebrity or someone who you see as like...
Well, I was going to ask you all this because I feel like growing up, there was always like people that you look up to, like, you know, this model or, you know, Sports Illustrated, the swimsuit editions, and that was always popular, Victoria's Secret. Has social media accelerated that, and does it feel, maybe because now it's like everyday people or influencers that...
I think it's more intense.
Yeah.
Because it's like constant, right? Like, you open your app and immediately you see like all of these people on your algorithm that you wouldn't have normally seen.
Because think how much time we spend on our phones, whereas before, kind of people, I guess the way you'd access celebrities is, maybe watching them on TV, buying a magazine every now and then. It wasn't constant.
And it was removed. Like, this feels more like, oh, people like you are doing this. So, like, there's a bit of a pressure that you feel that way.
And I guess influencers are taking along this journey as well now, where, like, it was always a mystery. Like, how are they doing that? You know? And it's like, you know, my 10 tips to stay in shape. But now we're seeing what's really happening. I think it's a bit more open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, with social media too, you can't really trust what you're seeing. Like, there's so many filters being used and people changing how they look. And so I feel like we're like in this world of unrealistic beauty standards.
Yeah, I feel like it is like a really unrealistic standard, especially with the filters. I mean, I did my interview with this dermatologist and she mentioned that this is like a huge issue for the medical community and trying to figure out, you know, what is going on with patients who come in. They want to look like the filters. They want to look like a celebrity. You know, you get a lot of people coming in asking for, you know, to look like a Bella Hadid or a Kendall Jenner and things like that. And it's not like a normal thing, right? And we're kind of like losing a sense of what we're supposed to look like. So it's quite an interesting conversation, and we'll like take a look at the package after this break. Buccal fat removal, baby facelifts, filler, Botox, and cat eyes, contouring, looks maxing, and the aesthetic known as Instagram face. People on the internet are often looking for perfection, spurred on by social media filters that nip, tuck, contour, and smooth out your features on camera, showing an unrealistic version of what you could look like. According to researchers, many of the millions of photos and videos uploaded onto Instagram on a daily basis are digitally manipulated to present an altered reality that shapes public perceptions of beauty. To achieve those ideals, plastic surgery and aesthetic treatments have taken the world by storm, and in particular, Gen Z, the first fully online generation.
One of the first steps, what we are going to do today.
Celebrity dermatologist Dr. Radmila Lukian, known for working with the likes of Lindsay Lohan, Naomi Campbell, and Eva Longoria, says that Gen Z has become a massive consumer for aesthetic treatment in a desire to achieve filtered perfection, or as she describes it, an avatar look.
Talking about the Gen Z, one of the reasons they are now significantly increased as consumers of aesthetic medicine procedures is social media. One of the negative impacts I'm seeing in my office every day is consumption of some filters, artificial intelligence filters, that they look for perfection. In the nature, we don't have this kind of perfection beauty, and we cannot consider that all filters will promote and show the best version of any of us. If you have artificial look, I like to say sometimes I'm seeing patients look like avatars. They don't look like themselves, like human beings. This is something that we have to correct, and we have to spread awareness that the most beautiful faces are faces with authenticity.
Dr. Lukian promotes non-aggressive aesthetic treatments at her Dubai clinic, pioneering the non-surgical facelift. She says the key to good skin and good aging isn't treating a single issue and looking to achieve perfection. It is prevention and enhancement of our natural features, starting from the lowest layers of our skin to our overall lifestyles.
It's not about only aesthetic procedures, it's more than that. Everything today in aesthetic medicine and as preventative medicine contributes our lifestyle, our level of the stress, our nutrition, our behavior and our exercise, workout, social impact, all contributes to our facial features.
As a doctor, she says she has growing concerns over the psychological impact of the use of filters and the desire to achieve perfection. She says her job as a doctor is to educate and to know when to say no to Instagram face.
There is a very important borderline. As a doctor, you should say no, because when the patient comes and they like to show you photos, they like to look as the filters show to them they're supposed to look like. Sometimes this artificial look has a very strong impact on psychology of the patient.
While Botox and filler once upon a time dominated the world of cosmetic procedures, consumers appear to be steering away from the dated looks in what InStyle magazine calls the Great Dissolving. Despite that change, it seems patients are looking for more permanent fixes and invasive procedures that can help them achieve the filtered look and mimic celebrity transformations. The American Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery said last year that on average, the number of full and partial facelifts performed by members surveyed increased by 60% since 2017, with an increase in patients ages 33 through 55, suggesting younger and younger patients seeking treatment.
Starting with the aesthetic medicine as preventative medicine in the, let's say, in the proper age, in the early age, with the proper guidelines driven by dermatologists, you will not lead to this direction that you will need a facelift in the early age. We have to spread awareness that today we have to create long-term protocols.
As trends around beautification and aesthetics continue to change, Dr. Lukian maintains that education around dermatology and a focus on natural beauty is the key to the future of the industry, and perhaps the key to combating Instagram face and social media filters.
I think that was so interesting. I was so interested by that dermatologist. And just watching that, like, the first thing I thought is it's such a permanent change to your face for a temporary trend. Like, it just feels like, I know that kind of feels like a grandma thing to say, but like, you're like permanently altering your body for a trend that might change in a year's time.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things. I mean, she talked about it as well in terms of, you know, people following celebrities, but I think younger people don't realize that these things are permanent, whether it's like a facelift or a nose job or whatever it might be. But we're also seeing celebrities kind of move away from these things and also kind of take a step back. Like, there's been like, what's her name?
Molly May Hague
Yes.
is a good example of that. She's like an influencer, and she was really, you know, went really public with dissolving the fillers in her jaw and her lips. And but I think people don't realise that has a cost as well, right?
Yeah, it is hard to dissolve. And painful.
Yeah.
My cousin, she had like lip filler dissolved, and her lips didn't go back to what they were before.
That's interesting. I mean, like, everything kind of has a permanent effect. I think this idea of kind of becoming more natural, or even just like yourself but better, is a kind of like the new trend. But as you say, that's also a trend. Which is...
And then kind of on the other end of the scale, we have the Kardashians, who've always led kind of beauty trends.
Well, when Kris Jenner got that work done, what was that, like a year ago, and everyone was like blown away. Like, where did she go? Everyone was trying to hunt down where she went. And
I mean, she looks amazing.
Yeah, she looks amazing. Kylie Jenner has also been really open about her, like, different procedures and things like that, which is...
Yeah, I think it's good that people are starting to go back to feeling and looking natural, because I think the problem with some of these, not only trends, but just the industry in general, is like people get caught up in like always looking different. Like, it's never enough, right? And I know CNN did a lot of reporting on Ozempic and Ozempic Face and other GLP-1s. And it's like, you know, these people, all they wanted to do was lose weight. They lost the weight. And then they were like, oh, I'm not quite happy with how my face looks now. Maybe I should get filler in. And so you get caught in this constant, like, vicious circle of trying to fix something. And
like
that's dangerous.
Perfection,
right? I mean, it's interesting because there's a Samsung study done, and millennials, like, by the time you're 75, you're supposedly going to be taking like maybe over 25,000 selfies in your lifetime.
I'm well ahead of that.
You're looking at your face all the time.
Yeah, you're looking at your face all the time, so you're really aware of what you look like. There's actually some really interesting stats. So there was a UK study done that showed 90% of young women sometimes use a filter when posting a selfie. 95% of women feel pressure to look attractive, specifically on social media. And then Dove did a study that 80% of girls have used a filter to change the way they look in photos by the age of 13.
Wow.
So it starts really young.
That's mental.
I mean, but even when we were watching the piece that you did, you were like, I enjoyed doing, you know, you told us that you enjoyed like playing with it, you know? Like, it's almost like it's a gamified, you know?
It's
how
gamified.
can I make myself look good? And that's dangerous as well.
Incredibly dangerous, because you know, you're looking at yourself and you're like, oh, I can tweak this, I can tweak that. And then if what you're seeing in your image isn't what you look like, you're like, I'm gonna go get that done, because as we said before, it's really accessible now.
Especially for really young girls.
Yeah.
Or like whoever. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
Yeah, and I think it is worth mentioning as we're talking about health and beauty, like a lot of this stuff and some of these treatments that come out are new and haven't been around for a long time. So if you're thinking about doing anything, contact a medical health professional.
Yeah.
Get their buy-in, like get the facts straight, and find someone that can say no too.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
want
really
to,
key. Like, I had a nose job, a rhinoplasty, and my doctor was very, very, like, specifically aware of body dysmorphia and asked me so many questions to make sure that I didn't have dysmorphia before.
Body dysmorphia sounds like a future show we should focus on. That's a hot topic. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, something completely unrelated that I think is worth mentioning. All right, hear me out here. This is worth mentioning. I saw this a couple days ago.
Checks phone. You got your facts.
I want to get my facts right. The iPhone Pocket. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, is this the thing that looks like a sock?
It is not a sock. It is fashion.
It is fashion. I've seen it. I cannot bring myself to care for it.
I have to care, but I do think it's sort of interesting in a really tangential way.
Go on.
I'm not as excited about it as Bijan is.
Bijan's picking his color.
I'm not excited about it. I just think it's worth mentioning. It's $230.
That's insane.
But it's a luxury brand.
A luxury tech brand.
But to quote Scott Galloway, the Apple company is a luxury consumer product. It denotes wealth, influence. So it's collabing with
tech.
a luxury. Yeah, but like in this day and age.
I'm excited to see when it comes out. Like, what is it? It's just something you put your phone in to carry it around.
Yeah,
it's a purse.
You can't even fit that much in it apart from the phone.
Yeah, well,
if you're going to spend that much money, you may as well get something bigger.
Like, I'm not going to buy it, but you could fit a chapstick.
But it's incredible. Like, Apple is so good at marketing. So like, if you look at all the pictures that they've released on the product design, it's like very slick and it's these bright colors, and you can get a long one or a short one, or So I understand why people fall on this hype. They're like, let's queue up. I want a pink one. I want a green one. I want it's like that classic Apple that like they're really good at doing that.
I think it speaks to the broader kind of landscape of these like collaborations, like where tech companies or products that you don't normally like associate with fashion are collaborating with fashion brands. Like you had Balenciaga and Bang & Olufsen, you have Kith and BMW, you have Celine, and now I can't remember the other collab. But like there's a lot of these collaborations happening. So I feel like luxury brands meet luxury tech is it makes sense.
Who do you think this is aimed at?
Well, that's my thing. So Marques Brownlee, who's a really famous tech influencer, he tweeted out $230. This feels like a litmus test for people who will buy/defend anything Apple releases.
But that's what I'm interested in. Like when it comes out early next year, I think. Like I want to see who's going to go like Q and stuff, because you know how Apple always generates so much.
I ain't got $230 to be spending on a cloth.
It says a lot about who's buying it.
Also, the Apple brand loyalty.
Yeah.
That will be interesting.
Although, can you buy them at Issey-Miyake stores? That would be interesting because then you get also the luxury experience of buying something from a luxury brand.
Yeah, and then it feels like you're buying more a bag. Yeah.
Rather than, because it is a purse, really, I feel.
It's a bit too small to be. I mean, I guess purses are getting smaller.
They're a pretty small
I
purse.
agree.
Yeah.
I'm really not shocked by it at all.
I love a mini bag.
And it's, I guess it's worth noting that's coming out next year, right?
Yeah,
2026.
it's next year.
Maybe I'm coming
so
around
you can save up. You can, you have time to save up.
To save up.
Okay, guys, I think we could talk about this pocket sock for a while.
Well, luckily we have the rest of the year. So
As much as I'd love to, we've got to wrap up. I'll see you guys next week.
Next week.